This is a Squiz Kids podcast. Your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you.
Each week we give the world globe a spin and see where we land. Then we take the kids of Australia on an audio excursion to visit that country and its people. I'm Amanda Bauer, and today on Squiz the World, we're visiting a country that has the highest density of robots in the world, where when you take a photo, everyone says, kimchi, and where Taekwondo was invented. Can you guess? Strap yourselves into the Squiz Kids Superfast Supersonic Jetliner as we take off and take a squiz at South Korea.
Just the facts.
South Korea is on a peninsula of land that juts out from the east coast of China. Its only land border is with North Korea. And that relationship is the subject of about 1,000 podcasts. In a nutshell, though, the two Koreas were once united. There was a war between them in the 1950s, which actually saw Australian soldiers fighting on the South's side. The fighting ended almost 70 years ago, but there's never been a peace treaty to officially end the war. And some people do still hold out hope that one day the two Koreas will be reunited. Now, since that war, South Korea has become one of Asia's most dynamic countries with a booming economy. It has a population of 52 million people, almost twice as many as Australia, and about 10 million of them live in the capital, Seoul, one of the most modern cities on the planet. South Korea also has one of the most successful education systems in the world, more robots per person than any other country, and a huge global following of bands like BTS. In case you didn't know, the K in K-pop stands for Korea. Now, whenever you go somewhere, it's important to learn a few words in that country's language. It's a great way to show respect. So let's
learn the lingo.
In South Korea, the official languages are Korean and Korean Sign Language. Korean can be a bit complicated because the grammar you use changes depending on the age of the person you're talking to. So we are extra lucky to have Squiz kid Unjo, who is 10, here to teach us the best way to say hello.
안녕하세요.
Go on, you give it a try. 안녕하세요. People are always really grateful when you just try to speak their language. They may even thank you for it. Hey, Unjo, how do we say thank you?
감사합니다.
And 감사합니다 to you too, Unjo. Now that we can communicate a little bit, it's
time for school.
Hands up if you love writing in gel pens or experimenting with different colours. Yeah, me too. But if you're at school in South Korea, you'd best be careful not to write your name in red. Red ink apparently signifies that a person is dead or dying, and you wouldn't want that. You will need a lot of ink at a South Korean school though. Those kids work hard. Kids start the school year in March and end the next February. And yes, March does come right after February. So they finish in February, start right again in March. Summer and winter holidays exist, but there are optional half days of school at the beginning and end of each break, and the majority of Korean students attend them too. So is school in South Korea that much fun? Well, maybe, but the South Korean school system is known all over the world for producing students who score very high marks, and they do that by doing lots and lots of tests. There's even a special kind of school in South Korea known as a hagwon, I think I've said that right, which means cram school. And cram means to stuff as much as possible into your brain before a test. Kids go to these schools after their regular school day to prepare for tests. The South Korean government is realising that so much pressure and stress really isn't great for kids, and they are starting to experiment with fewer tests and restrictions on that hagwon system. Just like we do PE at school and many of us do sport on the weekends, kids in South Korea are also active. Let's learn what they do when it's
Sport time.
All over Australia, from Kununurra to Kingston, you can find a Taekwondo club to join. But did you know that this martial art, which is both an Olympic and Commonwealth Games sport, is Korean? In Korean, Tai means kicking, kwon means punching or fist, and do means the art or the way of. So Taekwondo basically means the art of kicking and punching. You score points by kicking and punching your opponent in the head and torso. Yikes! And the sport's best pull off some pretty impressive head-height kicks, jumping kicks, and spinning kicks, with the emphasis being on speed. I've popped a link in your episode notes to a brief explainer, and please notice they are wearing helmets and protective padding. Phew! After watching other people get all that exercise, I'm starving. I think it might be
dinner time.
Have you ever heard of kimchi? It's on the table at just about every meal served in South Korea. It's made from fermented, spiced and salted cabbage, and traditionally every family would make it by placing the ingredients in a traditional clay jar and leaving that jar underground during the winter. Of course, you can also just buy it at the shops. Kimchi is so ubiquitous in South Korea, ubiquitous being an extremely fancy word meaning common, that when someone takes your photo in South Korea, instead of saying cheese, you'll say kimchi. You say it, you'll see it does produce a smile. Now, kimchi is a side dish, not a meal, so I've popped a recipe in your episode notes for the first Korean meal I ever ate, and it's still one of my favourites. It's called bibimbap, and it's a rice bowl with just the most delicious sauce.
Time for the Squiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. What's the name of the world-famous boy band from South Korea? Yeah, how could you not know that one? It's BTS. Question number 2. What colour should you avoid writing your name in when visiting South Korea? That's right, put away your red pens. And question number 3. What is kimchi made from? Yep, its main ingredient is cabbage. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for staying curious about the world and joining me on this incredible trip to South Korea. Now get out there and have a most excellent day. Over